Uh-oh, Hezbollah bros. I don't feel so good. Thanos must have handed the Infinity Gauntlet over to Netanyahu when he finished his deeds, because it seems like every time I turn around, almost at the snap of a finger, another one of Netanyahu's arch enemies is dropped dead, miraculously. In all seriousness, though, this is a big moment. Unfortunately, not just for Israel. As an American, I have to care because my country is tied at the hip to Israel, which really sucks because obviously we have no control over what Netanyahu and his folks are up to. He's not elected by we Americans, yet we are held responsible for his actions, and of course we are left responsible for paying the bills. I have, since I've been busy and not on this channel much lately, I have not talked about, I don't think, the situation at all leading up to this, the now confirmed death of Hasan Nasrallah, assassinated by Israel, although, can you even really call it an assassination when they blew up like 6 apartment buildings and just leveled them? Normally, you think of an assassination, it's like a sniper or something. You think of Lee Harvey Oswald. You think of some secret agent with a poison dart, or somebody sprinkling some arsenic into a guy's food, which you don't usually think of when you think of political assassinations, is a bunch of bombs being dropped, missiles fired into a populated residential neighborhood in the capital city of Israel's next-door neighbor, who officially Israel is not at war with. It's quite the strange situation in the case of Lebanon and Hezbollah. It is really, over the past couple weeks, it is as if Hezbollah and Lebanon are totally separate entities, which I've heard that over the years. I've heard people talk like that, and say essentially that Hezbollah is its own independent state. But that never really hit home for me until recently, when it's like, Israel's been really blowing up a lot of people in Lebanon lately. I wonder if the Lebanese government has anything to say about that. And it's just every time I check, it's like, nope, they're pretty much mum. They're like, hey, we might have to, shut down the airport. It's a little dangerous. We don't want any conflictions with the IDF jets flying over our country and bombing our citizens. I mean, I would think that this would enrage all of the people of Lebanon, from other sects, because obviously Hezbollah is one sect within Lebanon. But you would think that this sort of thing, this is like the rally around the flag effect. You would think that this would unite them against the common enemy, Israel, because it's, I'm sure the civilians are getting sort of secondhand, or what's the term, collateral damaged by these airstrikes. I got to think a lot of them aren't Hezbollah, and people who are not a part of Hezbollah are being affected by this latest campaign. But anyway, that was all the lead up to this. The pagers going off, the other electronic devices. But then we got the big one. And I should say something that not a lot of people, I think, are like connecting the dots on. Also over the past couple of weeks, Israel was systematically taking out all of the high-ranking members of Hezbollah who were under Nasrallah, all the people under his direct command. His lieutenants essentially were all getting taken out one by one until there were none of them left. And the only member of Hezbollah leadership really left, long term, was Nasrallah himself. And so normally, you assassinate a leader on net, it's a negative for you, because it's just the next guy in line is going to replace the leader, and then the entire group is going to be enraged, and because their leader has been martyred, and that normally helps rally the troops. Well, in this case, Israel has decimated the leadership class within Hezbollah, all the highest ranking people, all the people with the most leadership experience, people with all the know-how on everything that was going on up until this point, who were read into the entire, breadth of the situation. All of those people are dead now. And so they're going to just promote lower level guys to fill these positions. And in all likelihood, these new people are not going to be ready to fill those positions. There just isn't, there's not a bench, there's not a deep bench of leaders ready to take over for Nasrallah and his lieutenants. At least that's how it looks so far. Now maybe they'll beat the odds, and that will be proven to be wrong, and the new leadership of Hezbollah will be just as effective. But already they were struggling with their experienced leadership. Israel was pretty much unimpeded, destroying their weapon stockpiles. They obviously deeply penetrated Hezbollah's organization. They have spies everywhere. And so far it seems like this has been a very effective campaign on the part of Israel. And anyone who follows this channel knows, I'm not one of these big Israel lovers. I'm not one of these people who worships Israel. I'm not one. I do not donate to their so-called charities. A bunch of political organizations begging for money, saying, hey, if you believe in God, you'll give us money. I don't own any of Rabbi Shmuley's dildos. I don't believe the Palestinians are subhuman apes who are, let's say, worthy of extermination. I don't believe any of those things. But so far, this objectively seems to be a very effective couple of weeks for the IDF. They seem to be actually eliminating their enemies in a meaningful way, in a way that is not just going to create more enemies, that isn't just going to further inflame tensions. Obviously, they're being very provocative. They're bombing their next-door neighbor. They are assassinating politicians in the country next door. Pretty prominent politicians. Because remember, Hezbollah is a political party in Lebanon. They represent a significant portion of the population there. But so far it seems that the Lebanese government is going to let Israel get away with this, if this is all they do. And, that's really where I'm waiting to see if they're going to, screw up and overplay their hand. But so far, they seem to have played this pretty well. I think that if you are Israel, it is definitely, there's definitely a net positive here. Eliminating the senior leadership of Hezbollah and destroying, their heavy munitions depots across southern Lebanon. Is that going to create some blowback? Are there going to be a bunch of angry people whose innocent family members were killed, as in a part of these strikes? Yes, that will happen. But on net, they have destroyed the capabilities of what was once thought of as a very powerful adversary of Israel's, who lived right next door. And so Hezbollah as an organization has been crippled. It would seem they're going to have to, build up a new leadership class, and they're going to have to replace these arms. The damage done to their military readiness is innumerable. So the only question now is, will Israel take this opportunity to try and snuff them out forever by invading and occupying southern Lebanon once again? That's certainly the way that the Israelis are talking. I think that if they do that, it would not be smart. I think that they are better off, having destroyed the organization pretty effectively, letting them go back and lick their wounds, because they will rebuild faster if they are under the pressure of an Israeli occupation, because that ultimately is the environment in which Hezbollah was initially conceived. Hezbollah as an organization was founded during the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon to push back on and eventually drive out the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. And so even if the group is not called Hezbollah, it could be called something completely different, you are going to effectively have the same situation, because now you're pushing it back somewhat to the situation. I mean, you can never completely go back, but by getting rid of Hezbollah and having Israel not occupying southern Lebanon, we're closer now to the situation that existed before 1982. But if you then reinvade southern Lebanon, you're going to start working back towards the situation that we've been in. You're going right back down that same road that initially created Hezbollah. And so, if that's Israel's goal to prevent that, then I would think they would be making a mistake by invading the country once again. So that's how I see it. Again, I don't feel passion either way here for who wins, really. So I think I'm being pretty objective. So with that said, I will see you folks back here in the next one.